Once upon a time, the mafia ran America. Now it can't even extort a Starbucks without getting laughed out the door. Once, organized crime in America strutted through life in a silk suit, cigar in hand, with the confidence of an institution that believed itself eternal. Then one day, the mirror cracked. The mob looked up from its espresso, now served at a corporate coffee chain it couldn't extort, and realized that the world had changed. The old codes, the old money, even the old neighborhoods, gone. What remained were overweight, middle-aged men squabbling over crumbs and pretending the banquet was still on. The decline of the mafia was not one single fall, but a slow erosion. By law, by technology, by assimilation, and by its own gluttony. The RICO Act, passed in 1970, was the first real bullet to pierce the myth of invincibility. Before RICO, the government had to prove that individual mobsters personally committed crimes. After RICO, mere affiliation became a liability. A single underling's arrest could now drag an entire family into court. When decades-long sentences started raining down, the sacred code of silence dissolved into a chorus of informants. The mob's greatest invention, omerta, was replaced by something even more contagious: self-preservation. But the law was only the opening act. The deeper rot came from within. The Italian-American underclass that once fed the mafia's ranks disappeared. By the 1980s, the poor immigrant kid with something to prove had become a college graduate with student loans and a LinkedIn account. When life offers you a desk job with benefits, the romance of dodging FBI wiretaps tends to lose its luster. The mob's recruiting pool dried up, leaving behind the dregs: lazy hangers-on, wannabes, and psychopaths who mistook sociopathy for leadership potential. By Tony Soprano's day, men of honor had been replaced by men in tracksuits. Meanwhile, the economy evolved past them. The small neighborhood businesses that once trembled at protection rackets were replaced by faceless global corporations that couldn't be intimidated with a baseball bat. Try shaking down a Starbucks and see how far that gets you. At best, a security escort and a lifetime ban. Every bean is accounted for now, every dollar traceable. The mob's traditional rackets, gambling, loan sharking, bootlegging, either became legal or obsolete. The numbers racket vanished into state lotteries. Gambling went digital. Even stock fraud required more Excel than extortion. By the time Polly Walnuts was trying to squeeze a coffee shop, the battle was already lost. Technology drove the final nails. Cameras, cell towers, digital records. Everything the mob once relied on for secrecy became a liability. In the days of payphones and cash envelopes, evidence disappeared with the tide. Now, a burner phone and a bad signal could still betray you. Every deal, every murder, every accident leaves a digital ghost. The romantic age of whispered meetings in dimly lit diners gave way to an era where even a construction foreman's lunch receipts could incriminate him. Add to that the drug trade, a supposed taboo that was, in reality, just another profitable hypocrisy. The mob's pretense of staying clean from narcotics was a PR exercise. From opium dens in Prohibition-era Chicago to heroin pipelines in the 20th century, organized crime has always trafficked in drugs. The real issue wasn't morality, it was optics. Selling booze made you a charming outlaw. Selling heroin made you a monster. Society's hypocrisy became the mob's too. Everyone was a dealer, bartenders, bootleggers, and hitmen alike, just with different packaging. Yet, even as the mob's street power crumbled, its money didn't vanish. It evolved. What remains of the old guard no longer resides in back rooms, but in boardrooms. The descendants of wise guys have traded brass knuckles for business degrees, their criminal instincts refined into financial acumen. The mob today is not dead. It's diversified. Its capital sits in real estate portfolios, hedge funds, and legitimate enterprises, cleaned so thoroughly by generations of laundering that even the scent of blood has faded. The soldiers became stockholders, the capos, venture capitalists. This shift, ironically, marks the mafia's final victory. It succeeded so well at integrating into American capitalism that it ceased to exist as a distinct entity. The line between crime and commerce blurred until the two became indistinguishable. What once made the mafia dangerous, its ruthless pursuit of profit and power, has simply been adopted by the corporations that replaced it. The same greed, now with better suits and lawyers. And yet, beneath the satire lies tragedy. The mafia was never noble, but it was once purposeful. A warped response to lawlessness and poverty. In Sicily, it filled the void of absent government. In America, it offered power to the powerless. That perverse kind of order has no place in a stable society, but its extinction reveals how thoroughly the world that birthed it has vanished.
A man honors his dead.
There are no men of honor left, just men desperate to cling to relevance. By the time of The Sopranos, what we're watching isn't a criminal empire, but a middle-aged identity crisis. Tony and his crew are relics, play-acting at tradition.
Tony watches Godfather 2 all the time.
They quote The Godfather as if it were scripture, then whine about therapy bills. Their violence is petty, their profits pathetic, their ambition reduced to squabbling over garbage routes and strip clubs. The organization that once ran cities now struggles to run a barbecue. The show's genius lies in exposing this rot. The mafia's decline is a metaphor for America's own. Both once believed in myths of strength, discipline, and honor. Both rotted under greed and self-absorption. As America outsourced its manufacturing, the mob outsourced its soul. The gangsters who once made millions during Prohibition now can't scam a credit card without the feds tracing it in hours. Recession-proof, they used to boast. Not anymore. Today's organized crime, such as it is, has adapted to the age of anonymity. Smaller, more fragmented, often digital. No family dinners, no ceremonies, no code. Just freelancers trading favors in Bitcoin. You don't need Polly Walnuts when you can pay a teenager in crypto to torch a car. The family model, with its rituals and oaths, belongs to another century. The only oath that matters now is the terms of service. The irony, of course, is that the mobsters got what they claimed to want: assimilation. The Italian-American community is educated, prosperous, and mainstream. Its young no longer pick up guns. They pick up diplomas. The criminal empire that once sustained them with blood and fear has been replaced by legitimate success. In that sense, the mafia's downfall was the best thing that ever happened to it. So yes, the mafia is over. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. And maybe a cappuccino. The era of men of honor ended not in a bloodbath, but in a paperwork avalanche of subpoenas, tax audits, and surveillance footage. What survives are the myths, the movies, and a few aging wise guys muttering about the old days between cardiology appointments. And yet, for all its decay, the mafia's ghost still haunts America. Because it was never just about crime. It was about the dream of power without legitimacy, of respect without merit. In that sense, the mob didn't die. It merely rebranded. Today, its ethos lives on in corporate boardrooms, political lobbying, and every system that rewards ruthless self-interest. Tony Soprano wasn't just the last gangster. He was the first modern American. Overindulged, overanalyzed, and utterly hollow. The mafia didn't just decline. It evolved into its truest form. The mobster became the CEO. The extortionist became the brand manager. And the protection racket became the market. The family is dead. Long live the family business. Empires rot. Myths remain. Subscribe.